Becoming the center of your own universe teaches you that you are worthy of deciding what you want in your life experience. Some people grow old not knowing that they are allowed to choose what they want in their life experience. Hi, my name is Dominique Davis, also known as Brown and Bendy, and here on this channel we practice flexibility of the mind, the body, and the spirit. I am so amped to be making this video because it is a concept that I have been exploring a lot in the past month, and this is the concept of creating your reality and becoming the center of your own universe as you go through life. But before we get to this, I just want to ask, please make sure that you are subscribed and that you click the notification bell so that you can be alerted when I come out with new uploads and you can become a reality bender yourself. Also, if you would like to connect to our community on a more intimate level, baby, you know what I'm saying, go ahead and enter these words into your URL box, or you can click the link in the description box. I'm gonna stop talking. Let's get to the video. Becoming the center of your own universe. I know that some of you may be triggered when I say that, and that is good. I'm glad that you are triggered because we're going to figure out why being the center of our own universe triggers us, why it shouldn't, and how to balance so that we don't get too egotistical and all that stuff that we're actually afraid of happening, but won't happen. Okay, let me explain. From a very young age, we are taught to prioritize the opinion and comfort of others over the opinion and comfort of ourselves. As we mature in life, it is very important that we have a knowing that it's almost human nature for a person to try to manipulate another person to believe what they believe for their own comfort. So, knowing this, can I explain that better? It is very common for person A to influence person B to believe what person A believes because that will make person A more comfortable within their ego. I think that explained it well. Okay. The reason people do this is because of the ego. It is not on purpose. It's not because the majority of people are going around trying to mind control everyone. It's simply because when we get other people to agree with us, we feel more validated within our own lives and within our own realities. So when another person doesn't agree with us, it can make us question our perspective, and a lot of people I'm not gonna say can't, but a lot of people do not like questioning their own perspective because it leads to deeper questions like, who am I? What do I really believe? Am I happy? So a lot of people don't like questioning their perspective because it leads to that place. So instead, they just try to get everyone to align with the view that they currently hold. This is how the majority of people, humans, are. Now, people who are religious, people who are spiritual, we find out pretty early on that is egotistical action, that is egotistical thinking, trying to convince others that our views are the only way that the world can keep on spinning is a waste of energy because our views are right for us. Person A's views are for person A and nobody else. And when you get into spirituality, you start to understand the importance and the significance of your own journey, and you understand that your own journey is what created your perspective, which is why your perspective won't work for anyone else. All this to say, it is in our culture, not just as Americans, but as humans. It is in our culture to teach others to believe what we believe, but it's also in our culture for us to act from a place that makes the majority of people comfortable and safe. This is why from a very young age, a lot of us are taught to make decisions that make others feel comfortable and safe. It's a cycle. Very young, we're taught, hey, don't do anything that'll make your mom, your dad, your uncle, your siblings, your teachers. Don't do anything that's going to make them upset or uncomfortable. You learn that very young, and then when you get older, you learn, I'm not going to do anything too out the box to make anyone else uncomfortable, but no one else better do anything out the box to make me uncomfortable. It's this vicious cycle. And through this, we learn to become obsessed with the views and opinions of others. And from a very young age, we learn that the views and opinions of others are more important than the views and opinions of ourselves. I know I just went in a really big circle, but I hope that when I edit it, I'm able to say that it worked. So the unfortunate thing about living your life for the opinion and the views of others is that it can take you deeply, deeply out of your own personal alignment. Like I said earlier, your perspective has to do with your experiences, because your experiences teach you what to subconsciously believe. So if your subconscious has learned one equation, but you are trying to hold on to another person's equation, or you're being forced to see through the lens of another person's equation, that's not going to align. Because that's not what you've been taught. You're only believing it because it makes another person comfortable. And how can you on a daily basis live something that you haven't been taught? Your brain does not have the proof to say this is how life is. You're only doing it because it is comfortable and it is what is considered the norm. This leads to deep misalignment because the only way we can better get to know ourselves is by continuing to explore what our beliefs are. But if we do not explore our beliefs, we end up just staying in this place where we do not evolve, and our natural nature is to evolve. So let's talk about this concept of choosing happiness over everything and becoming the center of your own universe. I just listened to Janae Aika's album and I'm just in such a nice place. But anyway, choosing happiness over everything to me means committing yourself to understanding yourself. Because if you understand yourself, you know what makes you happy. And it's really that simple. Becoming the center of your own universe teaches you that you are worthy of deciding what you want in your life experience. Some people grow old not knowing that they are allowed to choose what they want in their life experience. So by focusing on what you need to evolve, focusing on what you need to understand yourself, you're able to observe the external world in a more co-creation friendly way. Instead of seeing the external world as something that just is, you're able to start to see the external world as a game where you're able to look at what makes you happy, look at what doesn't make you happy, understand why certain things make you happy and why certain things don't, and then figure out what you want to do from there. That process only comes from going inside and understanding what you have going on first. You cannot get to that process if your mind is overwhelmed with the thoughts and opinions of others. The result of becoming the center of your own universe is not being vibrationally affected by the emotions of others, because that is what others use to discipline us. When we decide that we want to lean into our own beliefs and become our own people, that may make the people in our lives uncomfortable. And the way that they communicate this is by getting angry, is by getting frustrated, is by telling us that we're doing something dumb, by telling us that we're wasting our time. And also, there can be more manipulation behind it. There can be emotions of sadness communicated. I didn't raise you to be this person. I didn't raise you to believe these things. You're breaking my heart. I hope I didn't trigger anyone, but I'm just saying others use their emotions as emotional ammunition. And when you realize that there is nothing you can do to make another person feel anything, you can free yourself from that bondage that we often have to others using their emotions to control us. If someone comes to you and they say, I'm so disappointed, I'm so disappointed, I'm so depressed by your choices and what you're doing and who you're showing that you are. When they say that, you can come back to yourself and think, what does another person have to do to make me depressed? And then realize that the only way another person can control your emotions is if you are overly donating the value of their actions to your internal experience. I know we're getting really esoteric, but it is what it is. It is what it is. You're putting too much energy into the emotional experience of another person, an experience that you cannot control at all. So what sense does it make? So it makes even less sense for another person to come to you as a grown person and say, what you're doing has made me depressed, has made me sad. You can't do anything about that. And this is not heartless. This is not cruel. This is not mean. We all have individual responsibility to make ourselves happy. And once we take that responsibility on, that's when life explodes. That's when life expands. When we realize our internal power to make ourselves happy, that's when we are connected to the real reality of whatever you believe, source, God, religion, because that's when you know how to connect with what put you on this planet in the first place. But the second you look at another person and you say, I will never be happy because they're doing this, you've given all that power away. And honestly, a lot of times it's self-sabotage. A lot of people like giving that power away so they don't have to take responsibility for their own happiness. And that's a whole nother video. Okay, so we've talked so much about becoming the center of our own universe, but how do we do it? How do we do it? A person becomes the center of their own universe by monitoring their thoughts. Duh. But by monitoring their thoughts and observing how often they're thinking of another person versus how often they are thinking of themselves. So this means going through daily life, constantly checking in with the mind, constantly. And when our mind is on the subject of another person, learning how to shift that to a subject having to do with self. Because a lot of times when we're ruminating on another person, it's not positive. It kind of sucks when you think about it that way, because we got to remember that our minds are here to protect us. So our minds are always looking for ways to keep us in safe positions. So a lot of times when we are obsessing over the thought of a person, we're obsessing over how they did us wrong, why we fear them, why we fear spending time with them, why we fear disappointing them, instead of using our time and our energy to nurture ourselves. So understanding how often other people are taking space up in your mind, identifying it, and then learning it. Because the simple identification of people are on my mind all the time, that simple identification will help you change loads. Because if you understand that people are on your mind a lot, that will make a lot of your own behavior and your own thoughts make sense. And you will be able to free yourself from that portion of not understanding yourself. The reason that you didn't understand yourself is because so much of your personal energy was devoted to the existence of others. And we will never, ever completely understand other people. What I learned how to do, because if you suffer from social anxiety, you are a person who thinks about others way too much. So what I have learned and what I am still learning to do is to take my mind up with knowledge. If I find that I'm becoming overly attentive to the thoughts and feelings of others, I will ask myself, do I have everything planned that I need to have planned for next week? Do I have all of my affairs in order? Do I feel like doing some goal setting right now? And then if it's not quite career stuff that I want to work on, instead I'll read a book. I will watch something high vibrational on YouTube. I will spend some time with my son. I'll spend some time with my husband. But whenever I tune in and I realize that I'm spending too much time thinking about others, I always try to redirect my attention to thoughts having to do with my immediate life. Immediate, right in front of me. So I guess this video is also another lesson on staying present, low-key. When you learn how to shift your attention from the thoughts of others to thoughts regarding yourself, you will notice that the way that you view others will change dramatically. And it doesn't take too long, because when you start to realize that you're able to just, okay, here's a good example. The other day I went to the store to pick something up, and my husband was in the car, so I went in by myself. And honestly, sometimes even going into stores can still be a lot for me and social anxiety. But again, we're doing it. Life is going good. So I go into the store and I start to feel the reaction in my body. I start to feel myself get tense. And then I'm just shopping and I get in line and I start to feel like people are looking at me. So I hear in my mind, are people staring at me? Is someone looking at how I'm dressed? Am I standing too close to the person in front of me? I start to hear all of these things. And then I say to myself, okay, well, how do you feel? And then I say, I feel pretty good. I'm grateful to be in the store. I'm grateful that I'm able to pick this stuff up. And I've gotten to a place where my mind then answers, nothing else matters, because this is your world, girl. And it's so freeing because I know that's a truth. I know it's true. I was blessed with a life, so this is my world. Just how every individual has the power to have their own world. I have mine. So when you begin to learn how to do this, the way that you view others changes dramatically. If I were to become scared, anxious, fearful, that would have been emotion taking over. Instead, I checked in with myself and my vibration, and I realized that my vibration was still pretty high. Like, the thoughts were trying to come in, but vibrationally I was feeling good. So I was able to say, well, how do I feel? What's my vibration right now? And then say, well, that's all that matters. When you learn how to do this, you start to view others from a place of vibration, not a place of emotion. Remember, like I said before, emotion is what allows a lot of people to try to control us. So when you learn to disconnect from that emotion that others put out, or your own emotional reaction to others, when you learn to disconnect from the emotions of others, or your fear of the emotions of others, you're able to tune into yourself and see how you feel. If I were to tune into myself at that time and say, you know, my vibration is kind of low, I feel drained, I feel depleted, then I would know that. This would give me the opportunity to say to myself, okay, we have to be super protective. Let's use some of our tools. Let's use some breathing tools. Let's use some counting tools so that this time in the checkout line can be a safe space, as opposed to allowing the emotional mind to just make things worse and worse without being conscious of it even happening. You'll notice that you just move different. People won't be able to control you in the way that they used to before. And this goes for family members, best friends, acquaintances, people on the internet. It's just going to mean a lot less because you realize that everyone has their own world and you're only responsible for your own world. This strengthens one of my favorite affirmations. I receive my validation from within. This is the whole meaning of it, you know? Sorry, I thought my camera was dying. But this is the whole meaning of my validation comes from within. Understanding that you are the center of your universe. Everything comes from your core, your center, and it is emitted out. Not the other way around. People are not feeding you with their energy. People are not allowing you to live. No. Events, circumstances, clout, all of that is not feeding you. All of those things are a result of what you are putting out. So remembering that my validation comes from within and that your only responsibility to yourself and to others is to make sure that you are doing that internal maintenance. You come first. Oh, I had so much fun making this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here today. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up so other people on YouTube know that it is valuable and that they should watch it. If you would like me to expand on anything that I talked about in today's video, just let me know down below and I'll be happy to talk about it in the future. Last but not least, please make sure that you are subscribed and that you click the notification bell so that you can become a reality bender yourself and join the Bendy Bunch. Thank you so much for being here today. I love you so much, and I will see you next upload. Bye.